and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 253 for the week of March 22nd, 2016. I'm Ryan Higgins, who's with me and not eating carrots.
I'm definitely eating carrots. Brock Sager.
Who else is here?
Toby.
Jim Jokisch.
And special guest.
Chris Noyes.
Chris, how's it going? From the Geek Box. Hey, you've been here too. You were on our Star Wars episode.
Yeah, and one
before. Yeah.
And fun fact, Chris is the second football fan on this podcast.
Nice.
Real football.
Which foot? Okay. All right. Soccer.
Round football.
Real football. Foosball.
Okay.
Are we talking about kicking severed heads around?
You're a foosball fan?
No.
Jim's a foosball fan. I know that.
Nah, that's old
Cool.
school. That's old school.
No. I'm talking about the real soccer.
All right.
So let's. So
I'm not counting myself, by the way. It's you and Brycey, just to make it clear. I don't even dare to count myself as a real one yet.
The elephant in the room, let's cover this right now. Myself and Toby saw Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice last night.
Yes.
We are not going to talk spoilers about it. We are going to talk briefly about it at the end of this episode. Our kind of initial thoughts. We will have a full cast 2-hour review, I'm sure, next week.
I think it'll be like 4 hours.
It'll be just as long as Batman v Superman.
No, please, God, no.
I think it'll be 4 hours.
Wait. Okay.
We should see how many stay alive throughout that.
We're going to have a lot to say about Batman v Superman.
You just need to get to 2 hours and 42
But
minutes?
if you two give your reviews now,
We are not
that's two people off of the next
No,
one.
they're giving their initial, like, Rotten Tomatoes kind of
We are given a brief
overview.
at the end of this episode, we will give a brief talk, but no spoilers. The
Not
movie
those
does not come out
kinds
till
of-
Friday.
You're killing me.
We'll talk about everything that we
All
did.
right,
So
fine.
let's start at
Jim,
the
you know
top.
what happens in a movie? Lex Luthor
Superman
comes out
meets
with
Batman. Okay.
Lex Luthor comes up with an evil plan.
Shut up.
Yes.
That's a Brock spoiler.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
There. So,
There's a woman. There's always a woman.
so
But she looks really hot.
the problem we have now here is that on Saturday morning at 10 a.m., DC is also going to announce all their official solicitation info.
I don't think that's happening, dude. I think next week it's all BVS.
Oh, I know. So we have to figure out how we want to cover
We do
Rebirth.
a 5-hour podcast.
I hate to push Rebirth back, but then I don't want to record for 5 hours. So I don't know what we're going to do next week. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll have a special episode, a Saturday night recording or Friday night recording or
We
something.
could be just like
we'll figure it
We
out.
could be like Walking Dead and just extend the podcast. You know, they got the season finale's going to be an hour and a half now, so we could go longer on the podcast.
Look, Tuesday's
Get it
already
done.
like a 12-hour day for me. Like I don't want to make it like a 14 or 15-hour day.
You're dragging today because you were up so late last
It's been
night.
bad. It's bad. Yeah.
Wait, Walking Dead is next week, so finale?
No, two episodes left, I think.
Okay.
And
Yes,
the
two
season
left.
finale they announced is going to be an hour and a half now, 90 minutes.
That's fine.
So
I'm okay with that.
that's an hour of
I don't
Walking
mind.
Dead and a half an hour of commercials.
Well, let's actually Walking Dead is
Basically.
Walking Dead is not a terrible place to start talking this week. That's not like comic book news, so we're gonna have a lot of TV and movies talk this week. But again, light spoilers for Walking Dead. I don't want to go too crazy, but
Come on.
well, there was definitely some.
I'm not caught up, but spoil away.
Well, there was some controversy over the last. I mean, as there always is in Walking Dead. But let me just tell people: have you ever seen Walking Dead? Do you know that they just kill everyone?
Anybody?
It should be anybody.
You do realize that Kirkman, from the beginning, has said everybody's going to die. Okay? At some
Eventually.
point,
Eventually.
everybody's going to die.
Yeah,
All right?
yeah.
Don't get too sucked up into one person because they're going to die. All right?
You'd think people be used to this with, like, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, like...
Okay, so I watched the Walking Dead episode. It was fantastic. All right? And just...
I mean,
she should...
The slow
all right,
episode?
spoiler.
What?
The slow episode?
The
latest
most recent one?
Yeah.
Most recent one?
Yeah.
I liked it.
I mean, it gets.
You think that's fantastic? So what happens when it's really good? Do you just like your face
No.
melts off?
I was waiting. I don't want to... Can I spoil it? I don't.
Again, we can. I mean, with Walking Dead, it's tough. Here's my thing.
I was waiting for that meat sack to die 3 different times in that movie. In that
Well-
episode.
Meat sack.
So let's. Yeah.
Being awfully mean right now?
There's. there's multiple characters in Walking Dead that have proved that they are useful in, let's say, less than combative ways, or in some cases not useful at all. And this episode chose to focus around a few of them, and kind of as a few people grow a pair and decide to go fight the zombies. Except it falls into that horrible horror trope of just like, you're making the worst decision ever. Why are you doing this? Why don't you just stick with the people who are like trained killers in this situation? Like, why would you choose now to do this?
I wouldn't say trained, more experienced.
Just
this
be like
was an episode that, just like you're watching a typical horror movie and you sit there yelling at the TV, why would you do that? Why are you opening that door? Why are you going to that room by yourself? Why are you?
Sometimes you just got to prove it to yourself.
But you have a couple characters that should be smarter than this, and you think, okay, you want to show that you've got balls. Why don't you like have them have your back and go on this as a team instead of like, no, I'm going to go on my way. So of course, one lives and unfortunately one dies. So that's the way Walking Dead works.
As they shown in the show, it's been a couple of days. Things have slowed down a little bit, and when that happens, you make mistakes.
Yeah.
You get bored and you make mistakes. It's like real life.
You grow complacent.
I don't know what there's obviously we're coming into the end with Negan the big bad for the season. There's actually talk that he may come in next episode, that he might not even be in the finale. He may be in next week's episode. I don't know,
but they named the season finale after what was it? Something in Fear, sometime in Fear. Somewhere in Fear, the 100th issue, whatever that title was.
Yeah,
episode.
That's the title of
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Do not read issue 100.
Well, read it if you're reading the series, but
it doesn't matter. They're not following. I mean, they're in the same mode as the issues, but they're definitely not following the issues.
There has been so much foreshadowing. It's disgusting.
Well, let's move on to one of our main topics this week, and that is the season premiere, Daredevil. Well, the entire season, not just the premiere. The season 2 of Daredevil, now on Netflix.
The season 2 dump.
The season 2 has premiered of Daredevil on Netflix. Who's watched how many? Brock, you saw?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm sad.
I've seen the first 2 and half of episode 3.
Okay, I'm there. I've seen 2. Jim?
I'm out.
You get to eat at least one episode of a spoiler.
I'll have to watch them by this weekend.
So. Well, again, we're not going to talk about it anytime soon. With these, it always takes a month or for us or so to.
I'm going to binge watch this weekend.
Yeah.
So.
Toby, you finish it?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
I wasn't
I
sure.
reserved the weekend away for that. I was like, what's this Silicon Valley Con thingy? I'm like, there's Daredevil on TV. So
he changed all of his push notifications to "Don't bother me. I'm watching Daredevil season 2."
Yeah, I was not gonna mess around. Daredevil is one of my favorite characters, so I think this is one of the best and coolest shows. And season 2 came along. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess around with it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the first episode at least to cover there. And
I figure we do first 3.
Well, I only watched the first 2.
Right.
Brock's only watched 1. Chris only
we
saw 1.
We might as well not do this then.
Well, I want to talk about what basically the start of this is, because I know obviously
I think the first 3 is a really good starting.
Well, the first 3 is Punisher, right? And
Yeah.
Elektra kind of comes in a little bit later in the season.
And then there's more Punisher, and then there's more Elektra, and then there's a tiny bit of Punisher, and then there's more Daredevil.
Well, we got the start
Done.
of it.
You don't have to watch the show anymore.
Well,
Way to go, Toby.
Yeah, I spoiled it. Sorry.
we have the start of at least episode 1. A little bit of time has passed.
Yes.
Nelson and Murdoch are still doing what they're doing, barely scraping by.
Barely, they're broke.
Yeah, in their little law office there. But we are introduced to the Punisher, who, speaking of Walking Dead, I know we've been talking a lot of, what's the guy's name? I'm totally blanking the guy's name. John Bernthal.
Bernthal.
Shane
That guy, man,
Castle
looks incredible. Right? I mean, Punisher, he nails that look. So, first episode, you actually never really see him. It's great.
Which is reminiscent of what comic book?
You were texting me all up and down because your love of the
Rucka run.
Greg Rucka Punisher. Now, were those 2 cops in the first episode? Are those supposed to be those 2 cops?
They never fucking show back up in the entire show again.
Right. But do you think
I do think it's them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Greg Rucka run of Punisher, which was really good. Again, Punisher in the comics, to me, is best when he's more like that sort of force of nature. He's not...
Yeah.
You're not supposed to root for the Punisher at the end of the day, right? I mean, he's a bad guy.
Well,
but
there's so many different versions of Punisher at this point, and many people will like the Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon one, probably like one of their more favorites. Someone like the old, some guys like the old school Warzone stuff, the 80s, 70s Marvel stuff. My favorite is more recent, which is the Greg Rucka run, and you guys heard me talk about multiple times at this point, where the Punisher is more like a boogeyman,
right?
And which, at least in the first episode, that's how they set him up. You don't even see his face, like, not till the very end.
I love that.
Yeah, and he just kind of shows up, and he's in the shadow. I was like, that's exactly what I want to see. Later, they reveal more, and you actually get to see him and stuff, but at least the first episode is very much like the Rucka run. Yeah. And those two detectives that show up at the very first scene, I really do believe that's Oscar Clemens and Walter Bolt of that narrate the Rucka book.
Oh, the one that looks through the hole.
Yeah, I really do think it's them. But they never name them. I want to say in the later episode, they actually say Detective Clemens, but I'm not sure. I actually rewatched it to see if they're naming them in the first episode, but they didn't.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
The dog, though, is from the books, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the dog that he picks up in the first episode. Yeah, that's from the books also. Yeah, then he shows up. So in the first episode, when they spoil, are we going spoiler territory?
I mean, for the first episode.
Yeah, so they the Irish they have to they allude that they had a dog fight there, and the one dude is really mad at his dog.
Right.
Punisher picks up that dog, and it's later in an apartment. They don't actually show it; you just see the same dog again, which I thought was kind of cool.
Okay, because I'm like, I don't remember anyone picking up a dog.
You don't see it. He just when later there's something happens, and you see the dog in his apartment. And it's pretty much. It's the dog. So he killed everybody and took their dog, which I thought was kind of funny. I don't know. Sorry, got stuck there. Back to the detectives, which are based off of, I think, the Seven guys, Somerset and Mills. David Fincher's Seven. I think that's what the Rucka is basing those two detectives on.
See that?
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah. But anyways, I'm very, very fond of Daredevil. Always been one of my favorites. I love the Punisher, and I think both have been handled fantastically in the show.
I mean, no big spoilers for the rest of the season, but what do you think of it as it goes? Better than the first? Good?
Well, they're so different.
Yeah.
So I would say the best way to describe this is Elektra and Punisher's Daredevil Season 1 in a way. You know, how it took all of Season 1 for Matt Murdock to become what eventually would be Daredevil. This is kind of the journey of Frank Castle and Elektra to sort of become to the characters they are.
Well, when the show starts, I mean, Punisher's been around for a while because other people have been killed. This isn't like the first time he went out.
I think they don't explicitly state, but it's been like 6, 8, 9 months since the end of Season 1. Some kind of time has passed, and they make mention that the Irish gang that gets blown to shit in Episode 1.
Yes.
They make reference to it happening to another gang.
Dogs
that they
of Hell. Which they
introduced
showed
in Episode 2.
Yeah.
They actually showed up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
So that's dogs, like it's like a weird crossover.
They started that whole entity of that group, the dogs. That actually came from when Captain America traded out. They've been around for a while now in the comics.
Yeah, the Dogs of Hell were in the first episode. They were in that bar that Foggy goes to. Yeah. To ask about his friend.
Well, that was their like their
clubhouse,
their club. Yeah.
So, but the group itself is a product of the comics somewhere. Okay. I just assumed it was a random biker gang, but the cops make mention of other groups being just completely destroyed by who they call the Punisher. So at some point between, and I don't remember how Season 1 like actually ended. Like I know, they allude that Fisk is in Rikers, I think, but at some point, Punisher steps in and starts.
I really wish we could talk about Episode 3. It's such a big Punisher story.
We'll get there. A week or two.
No, it's so important. It's would have been a perfect 3-episode wrap up that we could have talked about.
I usually try to.
You usually just try not to watch your shows. I understand, Ryan Higgins.
No.
You just delay everything and blame it on the woman. And
no, we watched a couple episodes. It just came out.
Yeah, man, and I finished it. What's your excuse?
That's your problem, not mine. I like to
at
take
least
my
episode
time
3.
and we'll get there. We'll get there.
Were you this happy about Jessica Jones last year?
I do care. I do. Well? I did binge it actually. Right
I did
away.
binge it.
Yeah, I think I got that maybe in 4 days instead of 3. Like Punisher, I think I started on midnight on Thursday. I think I watched the first one, but I fell asleep, and then I rewatched the first, or at the end at least, and then I think I did 3 more on Friday.
I just can't watch TV like that.
Yeah, well,
it's hard for me to, especially with the kids. Like, if they don't go down for their naps, I can't get like 2 hours in of watching something.
It's not only that; I just can't do it. I watch 2 or 3 episodes, and I'm like, okay,
time for something new.
Four is usually my limit, but I like Punisher big enough that I think I did like 6 or 7 on Saturday.
Punisher or Daredevil?
Daredevil, both actually. I really do think Punisher should get its own show at this point, and then I think I finished the last 3 on Sunday.
Like I said, I haven't seen it yet, but from what I heard, it's a good lead-in for a Punisher series.
It's so good, and actually, the whole story.
It's so good.
No. It's there's so much more to the story on this. Like, it's not the basic Punisher backdrop that we usually get. There's actually a little more at play here, which I really, really enjoy.
I'll let you know next week.
That's as much a spoiler as they're gonna get.
Well, I mean,
but episode 3 is directly out of the comic books. I don't want to talk about it so bad.
We'll get to it.
I hate you.
Well,
sometimes.
Couple weeks we'll talk about the whole series.
Okay, fine.
Right.
Well, wait. I don't know if we can wait that long. I won't be here.
I know they also had. I didn't see it. There's a teaser for the
Luke Cage
show.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay,
Teaser like within
it's
the
super,
season.
Just
Or
teaser.
just a trailer.
Yeah, just a.
It was short.
It's
though,
a
right?
really teaser. Yeah,
Like
it's just
30
Luke Cage.
or something. Right?
So look at some bad dudes. And the bad dude shoot Luke Cage, and he goes, "Man, I really hate buying new clothes all the time," or something in that matter. And then we got some really good music that Ryan absolutely hates, and then drop down Luke Cage.
Nice.
Very street-like. I love it.
Nice.
August, September.
September 30th.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Very
In
soon.
fact, the minute I found out, I texted you about it.
I know.
think that was before anybody knew.
Yeah. So now we just have Iron Fist, who did get officially cast.
Yes.
So I forget the guy's name. I'm sure I could look it up here. But
The gay guy from Game of Thrones.
The
guy that
whore in
he likes
that
the
Prince Oberyn bangs?
No. Oh, wait a minute. Did he bang Prince Oberyn? I don't think he did.
or
He's a
they
blonde
were
guy.
going to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he? Was he in Oberyn? We're gonna.
They were
Really?
about to. Yeah.
That's his boyfriend. Yeah. Finn Jones is
All right.
So.
Well, I didn't know he moved up that high in the Game of Thrones ladder, but cool. Now he's gonna be Iron Fist.
Loras Tyrell.
Nice.
Yeah. And
wait. Oh, Loras Tyrell.
Loras
Okay.
He's
Tyrell.
like the blonde curly hair.
He's Renly's lover.
Renly's. Yeah.
There's
Is that who you're talking about?
No. There's some random like guy who works in one of Littlefinger's brothels that at the beginning of season 4, Oberyn is like in the brothel with his paramour, and they're like doing girls and boys.
No, he's the one. He's the one that gets.
It's Loras Tyrell.
He's the one that's there when he gets killed by the shadow demon, right? Yeah. So and Defenders. At some point, I guess, maybe. So maybe an end of next year at this point. I have no clue.
I mean, they're going to.
I don't think they're going to push it.
You could do a Defenders and then go back to your solo show. I mean, or do we never get Defenders? Is that
maybe that's a carrot to like dangling?
I mean, at this point, yeah. I
don't think we're going to see it before Iron Fist is done.
No, but I mean, Iron Fist early next year, Defenders end of next year, or are they just going to skip Defenders entirely?
No, maybe. Well, I have a feeling we're going to see another couple second seasons in there before we see it.
Well, definitely. I mean, Jessica Jones going to sign for a second season, right? And we have at least
which were the original 4 series? It was Daredevil, Jessica Jones,
Luke
Cage, and Iron Fist.
That's
and
it.
then Defenders. So they're doing
Defenders,
and then at one point they said they're pushing Iron Fist to put in a Punisher. Well, and then they said they're not going to.
Defenders is the 4 of them all teamed up.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the original plan was to do their 4 individual series and then the
Avengers.
Teams.
Yeah,
but
like
Daredevil,
Avengers, like Avengers. So.
But Daredevil did just so well that I think they were like, when Punisher and Elektra, and then maybe Moon Knight and Ghost Rider, and let's just bring in all these characters.
I really wish we would let go of this twice a year kind of release. I wish they would go quarterly.
Well, so initially,
I really hope so.
Initially, everything I heard when this was announced was
once a year.
No, was all for a year, right? So Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist were
but then they kind of went to like twice a year,
right? And then Defenders was going to be the start of the following year. So we were supposed to have Defenders now.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of surprises. But I was surprised we got Daredevil season 2 so fast.
Well, right, but that's what I'm saying. So they ended up they completely changed the situation.
Surprising that we didn't get Luke or Iron Fist yet. Yeah,
but we could now have 4 shows 4 times a year, and then they just roll Defenders in later.
Well, if they continue to renew Daredevil and Jessica Jones as these others come out, then you can get to a point where every quarter you have the next season.
I have a feeling once Luke and Iron Fist come out, they're gonna have their little piece of the pie too.
Every week we have a new episode, and 13 episodes, and then 13 episodes, and it goes 52 episodes a year.
It's gonna be a good life.
I already don't have enough time to watch this shit.
Oh man,
here we go.
You know what it is, Ryan? You just have to let go of sleep.
I could.
Just don't sleep.
Hold on.
You just
you
watch.
Own a comic book store. Why can't you just put them up there?
It's too violent.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
I
can't watch TV because I'm working. People come in, they're talking to me.
Keep telling yourself that, buddy. Sorry. I'm joking.
We did that.
Sorry, guys.
We did that live stream event a couple weeks back where we had the in-store convention kickoff, right?
Oh yeah.
And the handful of people that came in and some of our friends and stuff like that, everyone just talked to the entire thing and no one paid any attention. No one could hear anything, right? I mean, I could literally have to put in earplugs and I could sit in front of the computer monitor and watch it and just ignore everyone, I guess.
No.
But no, I can't watch TV while people are in here. I have to stop it constantly, and that wouldn't work.
You could tell people to just wait for you.
Excuse me, sir. Can you just wait?
Let me finish this Daredevil episode.
Give me 45 minutes, and I'll help you. Okay.
The sales dropped off that month. We don't know what happened.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work.
Before we move on, I actually was a tiny bit worried with the Daredevil fight choreography in the first couple episodes. I actually remember kind of noticing it and texting my buddies, going, "Hey, did they switch people?" But don't let that scare you, because come episode 3, that I can't talk about it, you'll be totally fine.
I heard episode 3 is a good fight scene.
Oh, it's so good.
I didn't mind the fight scene in the beginning.
They were just not the same. They're, I personally felt they were not up to par.
Are they not the same, or just you took that time off? And
they didn't really move to camera, and they were alright. They were not Daredevil level, but then they totally made up for it. So
okay.
So I totally forgotten about what I felt in the first 2 episodes once episode 3 came along.
Well, let's move on. And we'll come back to Daredevil in a couple of weeks and talk about the rest of the season. Hopefully you're still here, Jim. If not, we'll get your thoughts when we come back.
Skype in.
Chris, you've joined us here this week.
Yeah.
And I specifically wanted you on because you were the only one of us to go to the Silicon Valley Comic-Con, the inaugural Silicon Valley Comic-Con in San Jose, California, at the Convention Center, where we have other such conventions as Fanime and Big Wow
and the
others.
one that I went to last year, Sweet World, put on by NetSuite, the ERP accounting system.
Ooh, exciting!
I use at work. Woo!
Exciting!
I said. So it was at the San Jose Convention Center, and I said to my friends, I was like, "Oh yeah, I was here last year for a work convention thing," and they're like, "What was it?" I go, "It's this accounting software that we use. The company put on a big old convention for all their end users," and they're like, "Wow, that sounds super fucking boring." And I go, "Well, I mean."
Dude, accountants know how to party, okay?
Hey,
dude,
there was some good food.
If
there.
Diamond throws on a party at a convention center, it'd be a convention.
Oh yeah, sure.
Sorry, that was a bad joke. My bad. Continue on. Sorry.
But anyway, yeah. So I think Allie, my fiance, bought us all tickets. Well, I mean, she asked if we wanted to go in, I don't know, October, November. We're like, yeah, sure, why not? So we got tickets. And we got there Friday at about 6:15.
Because it was only a couple hours on Friday night.
Yeah,
right?
I mean Friday it started at 5 and went to
9.
5 to 9, I think. Yeah. Saturday it was 10 to 8, but the main hall closed at 6. But they had a couple panels and a concert Saturday night, and then Sunday it was 10 to 5 or 6. So So we went all 3 days because we had the weekend pass.
Did you have the Back to the Future?
No. So I
So
okay.
this is what really is throwing me off, because you have to pay extra for that panel, right?
Okay, so
Which isn't that unheard of? I'm like, I never heard of paying extra to go see a panel.
I've only been to one other comic convention, and it was
Really?
WonderCon in 2011, I think.
Which was still here.
The last year
Yeah.
it was in San Francisco at the
Yeah.
Moscone Center. And we only went because we bought a day pass because Neil Gaiman was doing a panel it was about Doctor Who, specifically about
Wait, I was there for that.
about the Doctor's Wife episode that he wrote.
Yes, I was there for that. Me and Charlie were there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was
my
before I knew
Doctor
you.
Who awakening. Like, Charlie's been forcing me to become a fan, and I was like, man, I could feel the energy in this room, and that was like my Doctor Who awakening.
I don't know if we went because Allie loves Sandman and Gaiman, so she went for that, or we had just started watching Doctor Who, and so she was like, "Hey, these two things are awesome. Let's go."
Yeah.
So that's the only comic convention I've ever been to.
And they gave
I
that
don't,
T-shirt.
Yeah, she has one.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything else except that panel, so I don't know if we walked the floor. We definitely didn't do any other panels.
You know what? I only remember that panel also. That was a good panel.
I've been to a couple PAXs up in Seattle, so I've been to game conventions, and I have to say my experiences at PAX and then this Comic-Con were pretty much exact opposites. So at the PAX convention, I spent all my time on the floor, and at the comic convention, I spent almost all my time in panels or in lines for panels. We walked the floor Friday night, which was actually a really good idea because it was pretty empty. But
this is for like the dealer room and everything.
Yeah. And again, I don't know how things typically work, but they have the one giant open area where all of the retailers were. They had all the autograph and photo stations with celebrities in the same room, different sides.
Artist Alley too.
Artist Alley was there, and there was another smaller room, the same width as everything, just not as wide. That had a bunch of Star Wars stuff, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it had like a weird, like a wax museum and like a Star
Madame
Wars
Tussauds
museum.
was there. Yeah. This guy, his name is Steve Sansweet. I assume he still holds the Guinness record, but at some point he had the Guinness World Record for most Star Wars memorabilia.
You're right. This
owned
is
by
his
any
like collection,
person.
right?
Yeah, and so he owns and operates a museum called Rancho Obi-Wan up in North Bay.
Yeah.
So he was there with a whole bunch of his stuff to view, which is pretty cool. There's some pretty weird, unique stuff that he brought to show off. And they had another area where they had like 7 or 8 life-size R2-D2 or R2 units that would wander around, make noise with lights, and people were taking pictures.
There's a droid making club.
That could have been
that
it.
does that stuff. Because I was watching something somewhere, and they were trying to figure out how to make BB-8.
BB-8, yeah. Now, before we go too much further here, let's little background on this convention. This convention is this convention is run, quote unquote, by Stan Lee and Steve Wozniak, co-inventor of the Apple computer.
With Stan Lee?
Huh? Yeah. I mean, Stan Lee and Steve Wozniak were like the two guys. Again, the world's largest air quotes around that.
Yeah,
right?
but it's also partnered with Big Wow.
It's owned by Big Wow. It's run by Big Wow, who's the local convention around here. But they teamed up with these guys, paid them some form of money to throw their name on it. It's Steve Wozniak gets to wander around with a bunch of celebrities. So it's about more than it's not. Again, this is not a comic convention. At the end of the day, this is a celebrity con. Let's make that very clear, right? I mean, this is not like WonderCon. This is not like Big Wow. This is not like even San Diego. This is a celebrity con that has a dealer room and artist alley and stuff like that. So with a convention like this, well, it's also. There was a big element of science fiction and science in it. You had a lot of there was some NASA people there, I think. And
so I mean,
one of the MythBuster guys.
Yeah, I can talk about that later if you want. But Adam Savage was there, and he did a panel with Andy Weir, the author of The Martian, the book, not the movie. And they invited some NASA scientists from Ames, which is right here in the Bay. So they talked about Mars, and I went to another panel about rockets and future of space flight, stuff like that.
How were those attended?
The Andy Weir, Adam Savage one was packed.
Yeah.
And that's actually a funny story. That was the first panel that we saw on Saturday, and it was at 11 o'clock, 11 or 12. And I was talking to Brock about this beforehand, but the organization at this con was atrocious.
I've heard it was among the worst.
And again, first one I've been to, I just attributed it to it's the very first one they've done. All these people, most of them are volunteers. They probably don't give two shits how they themselves
the
handle
people
everything.
that run this convention have run hundreds of
I was just going to say that. Yeah, Big Wow is not new. Okay, so they know how to.
Yeah, but that's not how. Big Wow has never been at the caliber, even how much they want to be at this caliber. They didn't do a con at this size. Big Wow's been growing.
It's about 5,000 people. Do you think this was 10,000? Do you think this was more? Do you think they expected 2,000 and 20,000 showed up?
I remember Big Wow from SuperCon, right? Where it was a slightly smaller con,
couple hundred people.
and they grew every year, and to a respectable size. I'm not saying they're bad or anything.
Yeah.
They're actually really good con. I like them. Well, I just think you throw in some real celebrities in this, and all of a sudden you got some real people showing up.
Things
and
like
I wasn't there.
Things like having to stand in line to pick up your tickets. That is for everyone in one big giant massive line that I saw. I mean, I saw the photos. They wrapped around the hotel. That is,
and that didn't move for hours.
Yeah, that is with no AC in the main room. That is con mistake number one. Like this is first con problems. Not
there was no. I didn't think there was any AC issues in the convention center. If other people said there was, I didn't feel it, and I wore a sweatshirt all day. But I'm terrible at judging numbers for large crowds, but I think it was more. There were more than 5,000 people there. I mean, Saturday was packed. It was insane.
Yeah, because Fandom, you've never been to Fandom, so Fandom fills that place and they get 20 to 30,000 people. So it very well could have got 20,000 people out there, and we're expecting
there's
5.
like way more advertisement for this than there was for Big Wow. I mean, this is they tried to be a serious con.
I have no idea what Big Wow is even right now. It's just, you guys are telling me telling me it's a con. Okay, I believe you. I knew about this 6 months ago. Yeah. So celebrity con, I could understand they push it.
Well, didn't everyone have to wear like RF bands?
They had they gave out wristbands, kind of like you get at a club, except they're plastic and there is an RFID tag inside. So when you go in and out, it just scans your wristband, and that's how they track you entering and exiting.
Yeah, I think that's all because they don't want you to double up. I think that's all it is. It's just trying, because I think Comic-Con is doing the same thing this year. Yeah,
I could see. So, but anyway, so Saturday morning we're in line for this Mars panel with Weir and Savage, and there's the one main hall which is up on like third floor, and then on floor there's like a half floor in between floors 3 and 1. Down on floor 1, where the registration area is also 6 smaller rooms where they had every other panel. And 5 of the 6 were pretty much the same size, and one of them was larger. So that was the one that we were waiting in line to go see this panel. And people were just coming in. They had tons of doors downstairs to get into this area. People were just streaming in to get in line for day of badges on Saturday. The whole place was filled with people in line for badges, and it looked like it wasn't moving.
It sounds like a scene out of The Walking Dead.
So I don't know if that's
so the lines were like crisscrossing, right?
From what I could see, yes. And then the line,
it's like the pit, the line that The Walking Dead, the sand pit.
The line that we were in to get into the panel snuck around the edge of the area, cut in front of a stairway leading up to like floor 2, and then wrapped around in front of all the double doors that let you into the main area from outside. And so we had volunteers who looked like they knew what they were doing, going around trying to organize other volunteers who obviously didn't know what they were doing, giving them instructions. And so the ones in the yellow shirts were what I assume are the ones who had no idea. They'd never done this before.
Yeah, volunteer and staff are usually 2 different groups.
Yeah. So they weren't giving instructions to con goers. They weren't trying to organize anything. They were really just sort of standing there. And if you asked them a question, they'd be like, I think it's somewhere. Like, where's the line for this panel? I don't know. It was the first question I got. So,
after going to cons for years, never asked the volunteers. Just never.
Later in the day, we were downstairs in that same area for another panel, and it was better just because the registration line was no longer really a thing.
Was there like taped on the floor of paths for people to stand in? Because
for the main registration line, there was just a giant rectangle, and it there was nothing inside like a snake line to stand in. And then upstairs for the main hall, they have 2 large entrances like in the back of the hall, and we were in line later that afternoon for the Nathan Fillion Q&A, and they had 2 separate lines on either side of that hall, and one side just wasn't marked at all. It was just volunteers telling you to wait here. On the other side, they had, again, just one line of blue painter's tape on the ground, and they just said, everyone stand over there and leave a walkway, off to the side. So it was pretty disorganized.
Because on Saturday, I was getting texts from Toby from his forwarding me stuff from his friends. A couple of my friends were sending me texts, and it was just like a fucking disaster.
Yeah, I got multiple friends texting me, I really wish I could get a refund. I was like, wow.
Now, from the vendors I heard, they were like, we sold everything.
Yeah, well,
which is crazy.
Huh?
I talked to the guys over at Elusive because they had a booth over there.
Yeah,
and they said this was probably the best organized vendor, artist alley, celebrity area that they had seen in a long, long time.
I'm acquainted with one of the ladies that are behind on the Big Wow, and she's doing a fantastic job. So if she has anything to do with it, I could totally see that. Because she's been running the artist alley over at Big Wow, and I've seen pictures that she was involved in this one. If she's in touch, she does a good job.
Well, from what I heard, they split artists on both sides now. And in the center was this technology kind of pathway thing that if you cared about it, you went in it. But the vendors were kind of spread out everywhere, and you had to go through everything to be able to go to the big things like the Star Wars thing, back in the corner, or to the big celebrities back at they kept everything.
Big Wow did, or Heroes and Villains is the same thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But they said it was very well organized. A lot of the artists sold out of stuff that they had.
Yeah, one of Leanne's friends, she said she sold everything she had.
So that's great.
But there were 2 artist alleys. You walk in the main entrance for the main floor hall where everyone was, and you go right or left, and towards the edges of the rooms were 2 artist alleys, and then behind one was all the Star Wars crap, and then behind another were where all of the celebrities had their lines for autographs and photos at different points during the day.
Do you think the people that are complaining and the people that are really mad, are they a small vocal minority, or will it affect? Do you think it'll affect next year? I mean, would you go again? Basically, is the question, or was it too much of a nightmare?
No, I would go again. I enjoyed it for, again, first one I've ever been to, really. I enjoyed the panels. I didn't, and Toby mentioned this at the start, the whole Back to the Future extra payment thing.
Yeah.
Ryan, you and I were talking last week about it because one of your other customers came in and asked you, and I stood there and listened as well. But you were like, you go online and you buy extra stuff for these celebrities. So
Right. But I don't think did that count for, because I had no idea about the Back to the Future reunion panel being extra paid.
That is just bizarre to me. I mean, look, celebrities are going to show up and they want to charge. I fully understand that as a celebrity con. That's totally fine with me, right?
Well, so what a lot of
if they're not there, a studio's not paying for it. They want to get something out of it. I fully understand that.
Well,
right?
when we were at Big Wow, right?
Yeah.
When we were at Heroes and Villains, they had the thing where if you bought the Stephen Amell pack, you got the thing, and you got VIP seating at the panel.
Yeah.
The VIPs for the general con got the second row, and then everyone else just filed into the rest. So if they did something like this for Back to the Future, where it's if you buy the $750 meet and greet pack, and you get the VIP seating, that's fine. But if you had to pay separate,
that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was $10 or something.
That's
just for
that's
the panel?
unheard of.
Oh my god! Yeah, that really threw me off.
We didn't bother to try and go to the
and
Back
heard
to the
that
Future
was a line
panel,
too.
So
yeah.
I don't know. The big panels we went to in the main hall was Shatner's panel on Friday, which was. And this was my first.
A fucking nutbag.
He was crazy, not in a scary way, just in wow. He says
you have a problem
me
calling somebody
things.
a meat sack, but you don't have a problem calling Shatner a nutbag?
Have you? Do you follow Shatner on Twitter? That dude's a weird guy.
He likes horses, right?
He got really So we did Shatner in the main hall. We did Nathan Fillion in the main hall on Saturday. We did the costume contest on Saturday, which was, I don't know, it was not that good. We did.
I really want you to tell the listeners about the steampunk girl.
Stan Lee did a panel, a Q&A on Sunday, as well as we saw Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion did one for their web series Con Man, which I haven't seen. It sounds hilarious, so I need to check it out. But those are the big ones that we saw in the main hall. We caught the tail end of Jeremy Renner as we went in to wait for Nathan Fillion on Saturday. But I didn't know that they were charging at the door or wherever they were charging for the Back to the Future panel.
See, as a guy that's been to many cons, I would have not fought it at, right? I would have I can't afford the autographs, but I'll go to the panel. I would have stood in line and be like, oh, you need an extra pass? I would have been like, what are you talking about, right? I would have thrown me off. I think if you didn't know going in, that would piss me the fuck off, you know? It's just unheard of, yeah.
The point I was trying to make was when we saw Shatner Friday night, was the main hall was like half full. And I thought, no, it was great because they had giant screens that they were projecting him up on the stage, so you could sit anywhere and you
from
could
what I've
see.
seen, they did a really good job with that stuff. Yeah,
but it was half empty, and I'm like, well, shit. If this is what it's like tomorrow, one, okay, cool. At least it won't be crowded. But then two, oh god, it's not going to be crowded, and they're not going to make money and never do it again. Yeah. But no, Saturday was packed, and Sunday was a little better. I mean, not as packed, but still very busy.
Well, I think because of the price for single tickets, because it was $50 for a single.
That's really expensive
per
day.
Per day. So
that
I think a lot of people
really expensive.
I think a lot of people ended up buying the 3-day passes because they were what, $90?
Well, you have to.
Allie said I think it was 100.
It was
okay.
25 for Friday, which is a half day. Not even a half day, like 4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah. 50 for Saturday, 50 for Sunday, or 99 for all 3 days. And that doesn't include anything. That's to walk in the door.
No, that's just to get inside.
Yeah,
so
see,
autographs,
I think a lot of people ended up going for the $99 one because they're like, why don't I just pay $99 and I can go 3 days? But most people only showed up 2 days.
No, most people bought a 1-day pass for Saturday.
That's true.
That's always what happens at conventions. Saturday passes at Comic-Con are always the first to sell out because Saturday is a day that generally everyone has off. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense. And most people aren't going to spend 2 or 3 days at a convention. Some people are, but most. Well, look at Toby, who's there, who's at Comic-Con for like a week and a half. So
I don't sleep.
No, because I mean, Allie's mom's house in downtown South San Jose, so we took light rail in Saturday and Sunday. But actually, we made the mistake of driving all the way in on Saturday because we thought, we'll park in the same place we parked Friday night.
Parking was a disaster.
And we're like, well, fuck this, and we turned around and found the nearest light rail station and just parked and trained it in. But no, it's fine because there's a convention center stop for light rail across the street.
Right,
so
that's cool.
It's $2 one-way trip on light rail.
Hey, someone used light rail.
Yeah.
Hey, my ex-roommate was on the light rail too. I saw pictures of it.
But
it works going to downtown, but apparently not the stadium.
It just takes 2.5 hours to get there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's super slow. So we didn't buy any of the extra stuff. One, I don't really care about celebrity autographs or photos.
You can always Photoshop yourself in.
Allie, on Saturday we were standing watching all the celebrities do their signings from 50 to 75 feet away, and she just busts out her phone or her camera, super zoom, and just takes pictures from real far away. And she's like, look at my stalker photos. It was a little sad. Bonnie Wright, the actress who plays Ginny Weasley in the Harry Potter movies, was there, and there was no one in her line Saturday afternoon, and I felt so bad. But apparently there were a ton of people there earlier, but I'm just like, man, I'd hate to be that person with no one coming to you. Like, I don't want her fucking autograph.
Well, the parents didn't want to spend $50 so the kid could go get some Ginny Weasley's autograph.
They had, similar to the registration booths downstairs, they had autograph and photo payment booths upstairs where you pay, you get your sticker or whatever to let you in the line to go then meet and greet your celebrity of your choice.
So one of my friends, Seth, he did the Stan Lee photo op and autograph. I think it was two separate. What it was like photo at one point, and autograph at a second. I don't think they were together.
They had separate areas, so I think so.
He said that when we did the Heroes and Villains a few months back, they had sort of a way where the super VIP automatically get to cut in front. Then they get like 3 VIP, 2 gold, 1 regular person. So it's kind of a flow, right? He said with this, it was just like any VIP that walked up got to step right in front. He said the normal line just sat there and never moved, and people were fuming. I don't feel that Toby, I mean, you were there for the entire thing at Heroes of Villains. I don't remember there being too much trouble with the lines.
Well, I wouldn't know because I was working the entire con.
But, I mean, you were around some of the big people. Do you remember? I mean, because none of the lines I was in.
Look, when I see people being civil, that means it's under control.
Yeah.
And nobody was ever screaming or yelling or crying or being mad. Yeah. They all were pretty happy. So if that's the case, I think it's got organized.
Seth said
and they never told me what the rules were because people would come up and show me the badge. And, Lord, who I was working for at the time, didn't tell me anything about it. I don't know. I'm like, you're VIP? I guess go over here.
You know what cons need to get implement for all these line problems? The fast pass.
Well, that's what VIP is.
Well, that's the VIP line. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But you should just go up to it and be like,
well, it's hard when you don't know what that is.
Come back at this certain time.
That's right. So Steve and Amel, when we did that, that's what it was. They give you a ticket, and they said as long as they said we're going to update this number like 50 at a time. If your ticket number is below this number, you can get in line. Otherwise, come back later. And so it'd be like
I like
50.
That. Yeah.
And then a half an hour later, 100. Yeah. And then a half an hour later, 150. And I'm sitting here looking at 250. Or I feel like Beetlejuice at the end where he's looking at the long string of numbers. And I'm like, I'll be here at 6 o'clock tonight, whatever. I mean, you just, okay, I know I can come back, and you keep checking, you walk by. To me, if you're just sitting in that line and for hours and it's not moving, you're going to want to kill yourself.
Well, because that's the thing is
and you don't see the rest of the con.
Well, you don't get to see the rest of the con, but that doing that actually it helps control how much crowd you can have. Those people that want to stand in the standby line, right, in the line where you pay and you wait, right. You can have those people, but coming back at
that line is gonna never end.
It's going to never end.
You need a flow of people moving around because you can't have 2,000 people standing in one spot.
Because if you have 50 people coming in an hour, you have 50 people. Well, they came. We got another 30 people from the regular line, another 50 people, another 30. You process it a lot better. There's ways of crowd control that they seriously need to invest in.
Well,
that's always hard because you usually got a couple of guys that know what they're doing.
Well, so many cons have figured this out. The fact that it happens and cons don't know how to do it. It's like, how do you not?
Dude, for years, Comic-Con was the absolute worst. For years, for years, and that's the big one.
The only situation that I was aware of that related to the VIP ticket or badge owners.
Is this fisticuff stuff?
No. And I didn't hear anyone screaming and yelling at any point. But again, I wasn't on the floor for a lot of the con. But it all seemed pretty civil and legit. But when we wanted to get in to see the Nathan Fillion panel Saturday afternoon, we jumped into the hall with 10 minutes left in Jeremy Renner's Q&A. As soon as his thing ended, half the hall left the doors, and the other half of us just sort of moved forward to get as close as possible for the next panel, which started in
normal
20, 30 minutes.
But that's different at this con, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And so we get like maybe 7 or 8 rows from the front. We sit down. There's 6 of us. And then after about 10 minutes, the volunteers start saying, all right, everyone who's not a VIP, get up and get out and go wait in line. Like, not that rude, but I got up and I'm like, what the fuck? They couldn't tell us after Renner left the stage as people were leaving that we all needed to go. Yeah. I would have waited in line. Now I'm stressing that we're not going to be able to get in.
You're not the first, because my friend also did that. They cleared the room and she didn't get to see the panel she actually wanted to see.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Well, it worked out for us because, again, volunteers didn't know what the hell they were doing. They had 2 separate lines. Me and 2 others were in one line. Allie and 2 of our other friends they just sort of hung out near the door, and some volunteer let in like 50 people. And then as they crossed the threshold into the room, someone else yelled, no, don't let them in. And they just kept going. So we got our seats up at the front, but I waited in line, and we still got in. We would have had seats, but
con stories.
I'll never forget being at Comic-Con. I must have told the story, but we went in to see the panel for, God, I don't even remember. It was one of the big, not Hall H, but it was one of the big panels.
Ballroom 20?
It might have been. And we're walking up, and I see this line, but I don't think it's for the hall, right? And I'm just like walking up. It's me and Leanne, and we get up there, and they're like, "Oh, you have to wait in line." I'm like, "Oh, we just used the bathroom." They said we could come back in. They're like, "Oh, okay, go back in." And we just walked right in the hall. It's like, see ya.
Yeah.
Hell on my way.
Well, my
Don't
buddy,
you know who I am?
My buddy Nate went on Friday just because cheaper costs. He went only on that day, and he came back. We had dinner afterwards, and he basically well, it's funny because we're supposed to do dinner at 9 when it was over, or 9:30, like, a little time. Then he texts me, like, I think at 7:30 or 8. He goes, "Can we do dinner earlier?" Like, he was pretty much, like, he doesn't go to the panels or anything. Like, he just likes to look at the artists and see what's around. And he basically was done after two something hours.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, the most of that main area, I don't even. Hall 1 is where the big Q&A panels were. So I don't know what the other
exhibitor hall.
Yeah, the exhibitor hall. Yeah. I'd say about a third of it was set aside for the celebrity photo and signatures.
Yeah.
And then the other 2/3 of it was for vendors and booths. But then they also had a large area with tables and chairs for people buying food at the concession stand inside.
I heard the convention. I heard they sold out of food.
Yeah.
They must have had a lot of people if the artists all sold out of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they must
sold out of food.
They very well could have got 20,000 people.
They got a decent amount of people, but I think that there wasn't I heard there wasn't a lot of vendors. Yeah. Like there was it
didn't seem like I noticed 4 or 5 comic vendors, and then there's always the vendors that are selling you other tchotchke crap.
Yeah.
I almost bought an ocarina, but I was like, no, I can get a cheaper one on Amazon. They had, I don't know which company, but some company was there with VR headsets, and you could test out some game demos.
Yeah, well, that's part of the whole Silicon Valley part.
Yeah, they had a few tech companies there, but it was all low key, small stuff.
Yeah, but
no YouTube superstars.
Not that I know.
No PewDiePie.
But what I heard was the like the big Funko guys that are normally like run around these cons. None of them were there because they were all over in C2E2.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there's like 3 cons. There's the one in Vegas. The C2E2 is a huge one.
Yeah, C2E2 was like a comic book convention.
That's a real con. Yeah.
I mean,
Silicon Valley is like a rookie con. I'll call it a rookie con. I mean, it's the first one.
First year.
Rookie con, yeah.
And so, maybe it'll get better.
Was it worth $99?
Until I knew that I had paid $100 for it, I thought I had paid for a 3-day pass.
15 a day, not 50.
No. I thought I paid $30 total.
And that's just for Friday night.
And then Allie was like, it was $100. And I was like, God, fuck me.
Yeah.
Each.
Look,
each 3 days.
It's really pricey because WonderCon is cheaper and it's
WonderCon's $65 for all 3 days.
3 days, and they're a well-known con.
Yeah,
like
and
has established themselves.
They get 60,000, 70,000 people.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would I go next year? Maybe just for one day.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to. I really didn't want to go Friday night. I was like, I don't give a shit about Shatner. That's the only thing people wanted to go see Friday night. I'm glad we ended up going because it was funny as shit because he's insane.
I'm so wanting to see this now.
But we could have written
and you got
Friday
to see
off.
Steve Wozniak.
Oh yeah, Woz popped up at the beginning of Shatner's panel and asked him like a softball question, and then Shatner turned it into a little debate about spirituality for him and Woz scientific and engineering on his side, and I'm like, who gives a shit, really? And then Shatner started going off on his horses, and I'm like, God, kill me now.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, this is what we paid for. This is the convention we're going to see. But Saturday made up for it.
I wonder if this is a con that a lot of first-timer went. Like a lot of the
probably.
I'm going to call them normals, right?
There are a lot of families there, a lot of kids there.
Because they see Comic-Con and they go, Comic-Con? We heard of Comic-Con, right?
And Woz's face and name is on it, so it's like...
And think of it this way. When WonderCon left in 2011... you have to think about how the movies have exploded since then, right?
Yeah,
I mean, just the general,
because
all
I heard
Arrow
a lot
and
of people
Flash
at work were interested. People have never fought would
Yeah.
go to these
Yeah,
things. I think there's a lot of first timers and normals going to this.
We haven't had a comic convention since before before Avengers came out at this point. So
not a big one.
Not right.
Like,
that's
we
what I
have
mean.
big wows, and,
right? But not a larger convention. So
we also have one that's coming up called San Francisco Comic Con that came out. I don't know who's behind that
and
one.
it's another celebrity con.
Yeah,
so
it's weird.
Real curious how it's going to go. Well, we're gonna move on here to me and Toby talk about Batman v Superman. But before we do, I actually meant to have this in last week's episode, but because of our recording schedule, things didn't get in there. I was lucky enough a couple of weeks ago to go down to a very small con down here in Santa Clara, at the Santa Clara Fairgrounds, the little Time Tunnel toy show that I like to go to once a year. I try to go. They do
Super Collector.
3 of them or so.
Yeah,
I remember Time Tunnel.
Yeah.
Didn't I have a store?
They still have a store.
Does it still do?
Yeah.
So they've done
They
this.
moved, but yeah, they're still.
Yeah, I remember going there looking at things going cool. I really wanted. I looked at the price.
Same
but never
people,
mind.
Same people still run it. Everything.
Yeah.
They run Super Collector, which is the toy show.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they've done this on the fairgrounds for, like 20 years or something like that, right? And this, again, compared to how it used to be 5-10 years ago, it's doubled, tripled, quadrupled in size. There's hundreds of vendors now compared to the way it used to be.
Wait, didn't you meet someone special there?
I did.
Oh.
I'm going to introduce this longer than I'm actually going to play it because it's very short, but there is a celebrity there that I was very excited to meet. A man by the name of Teddy Sears, who, if you watch The Flash, he is Jay Garrick on The Flash. And what the hell he was doing at this toy show, I have no idea. But I have my wonderful Arrow poster signed by the cast up here that we put up in the store. And now I'm working on my Flash poster. So I figured this is a good time to go in and get an autograph by him. And since the line wasn't too long, I said, hey, I have a little field recorder. Can I ask you a couple questions? We do a podcast. And he said, sure, absolutely. So
He actually answered your questions, which blew my mind.
I know.
I was like, holy moly.
And I'm going to...
Did you know he was going to be there before you went?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought
Ryan
I
just
saw
walks
your,
around with a
listen
steel
up.
recorder.
Well,
and I go,
well,
I want to
saw-
ask you some questions.
I saw your tweet or whatever you had posted with the picture. I just assumed you ran into him, but and now you're like, I had my poster and recorder, and I'm like,
Yeah. No, I just carry a
weird.
Flash poster with me everywhere I
It's in
go.
his car,
Maybe
ready
you
to go.
should carry the recorder around just to remind yourself to order things.
I should. Yeah. And Jim, they had Bruce Lee's daughter was there.
Oh, okay.
What's her name? I'm totally blanking on her name.
Jesus
She wasn't there on Sunday. I don't think she was only
okay.
on Saturday. But so
they usually with the Super Collector Con, they usually have one celebrity's there for one day, one celebrity's there the next day.
Yeah. But Teddy Sears, I think, was there both days. Yeah. So. But he was only there for a little bit.
Changed
Sunday.
a lot of clothes though for some reason because like everybody of my freaking nerd friends are posting pictures with this dude. I'm at home stuck with my bum leg. I see everybody posting pictures, and every picture he's wearing different clothes.
Really?
I was like, "What the hell is he doing?"
Wow.
Like every picture, not like day 1, day 2.
Yeah.
he
It was
doesn't
just
want
like
people to know about it.
That-
So he's
yeah.
like, shit,
Did
someone
he have the
new shirt.
did he have the Golden Age Flash jacket with him?
No.
No, but you wore the
Maybe-
Star Labs shirt though.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, that was
Nice,
kind of
nice.
cool.
Maybe he was just changing that fast.
He might. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, I see about 15 versions of this picture. I'm like, why is he wearing different clothes on every one of them?
Yeah. Well, real quick, let me play that very small interview with Teddy Sears right now. So I'm here with Teddy Sears, who plays Jay Garrick on The Flash, and I was going to ask you a whole bunch of questions, and then the last episode happened.
Yeah.
I now have a whole new group of questions for you. What is going on?
Yeah, we're gonna get into exactly what happened. I sort of hate to be deliberately vague, but when we come
No
back,
spoilers.
Yeah, no spoil. On March 22nd, we'll come back. I think actually it's the episode after that, the 29th, is the one we're really going to get into our answers. Like basically, how did Zoom become Zoom, and who is Zoom, who is Jay. And we're going to get into the explanations of basically all of that stuff. So it's coming up at the end of the month. Yeah.
I'm a big Flash fan, and I'm used to time traveling and confusing stuff, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
So you have confused even the biggest comic fans, which is good, which is rare. It doesn't happen often.
My hope is that the explanation is satisfying. I know that there was a bit of that in the first season with explaining the Harrison Wells. How he could kill himself or something like that.
Right.
And again, it sort of plays on those elements of time travel and God, it's so tough because I want to be able to tell you all about this stuff, but I know that I can't. But
we'll all watch, so don't worry. We'll find out.
Yeah, we're going to get our answers, but there's going to be some really cool Zalman stuff. I will say that. Like we're going to get into Zalman, Earth 2 Zalman, and his story and how he became the man he is, and that should shed a lot of light on sort of how we got to where we are now.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How does it feel to play one of the original superheroes?
It's been my best, most meaningful, most satisfying job I've ever had.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I love it.
That's great to hear.
It means a lot. It's very significant to me.
All right. Well, you got a big line here. We'll let you go, but
Thanks, man. Good
thank you
talking
very
to you.
much. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
You got it, buddy.
And that was that very small interview with Teddy Sears. Yay. And you probably already have seen him return on Flash because the episode is airing as we were recording this episode. So, yeah, there you go. Dude is huge, ripped, makes me look like a little baby standing next to him.
His chest was like bigger than your head.
It was. The dude is
I was looking
really
at
big.
I was like, damn, man, that thing bigger than Ryan's head.
If they want to replace, he doesn't come off this way in Flash in the show.
He doesn't look that big.
But if you want to replace Chris Evans and Captain America or something, this is your guy. He is huge, and he doesn't come off that way in Flash.
No,
but he is a big guy, like crazy big.
Wow.
Maybe he's just working out like crazy. Now the Flash is over. Maybe it's I have no idea. But yeah, he's fucking ripped.
Well, he had to get into that other suit.
Well, yeah. We're gonna hear all about that in the next couple weeks. So, and I know he was also in. Leanne was like, I know this guy for something else too. He was in American Horror Story. He was in the first season, so she'd seen him from that, and he was in a couple other shows. So,
do we have time for some questions from our listeners?
Super nice guy, and yeah. I
that aren't BVS related.
They still haven't solicited his helmet though. I'm still waiting. Still waiting for previews to put out.
Did you get Captain Cold's gun?
I don't want. I claim the fifth on that.
So yes, Ryan, you're jealous.
Couple quick questions. Well, I don't know. They canceled the Dr. Fate helmet. We'll see. About
I know. No, don't bring up Fate's helmet. Come on.
Let's see. I have a couple questions. This is from Y. Says, can you see the Punisher bleeding into the movies? John Bernthal was outstanding and deserves a series. I don't think they'll bring him into the movies, but I'll definitely give him a series.
Yeah, they'll definitely give him a series.
They have to.
Yeah.
As a villain or as the protagonist?
Just as
Punisher.
Just as Punisher.
Well, again, the best Punisher stories I feel is not about the Punisher. It's about the people around him.
Yeah.
A lot of the Garth Ennis series was kind of like that. The Greg Rucka series, the Greg Rucka series was like that. So, yeah, I think we'll see a series about random people that are in the world of the Punisher and get out of their way. Right?
It's kind of like Walking Dead. Punishers the zombies.
Yeah. This is from Timothy. He says, where the heck are DC Comics solicitations? Well, good listener.
Funny you should ask.
Saturday morning, 10 a.m., live stream from WonderCon in Anaheim, California.
No.
I should know. Yeah.
L.A.
Did they move it this year?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. The convention center's closed, huh?
Oh, yeah, because
they're expanding it.
Yep.
Yes. It's in L.A. for at least 1 year, right? Or is it 2?
I don't know. At least one. I'm hoping it goes back to Anaheim.
They just closed it.
It will.
They just closed that
they bring it
Anaheim
back
because
up here.
there was a huge convention while I was in Disneyland.
Well,
all the trips you've made to Anaheim for freaking Disneyland,
there was
and you won't go
rumors
down
of
there
Wonder
for the open for the
North
rebirth.
and South, which I was hoping for, but doesn't seem likely anymore.
No crosstalk. What was that, Jim?
All the times you've gone down there to L.A. to Anaheim for Disneyland, and you're not going down there for rebirth.
Well, first of all,
WonderCon?
I didn't know they were doing this. Second, I went to WonderCon a little while ago, and it was fine.
He added it to his Disney trip.
Yeah. Third,
we didn't go for WonderCon, but since we're here,
Ryan's got his priorities straight, man. You know the man.
Third, I'm still waiting for DC to announce the date for their retailer meeting, which is much more interesting than me than going to WonderCon. And fourth, I'm still going on my honeymoon soon, so this is a year of low spending. Because money's being spent on the honeymoon.
I have extra passes if you want to go.
For what, WonderCon?
Yeah.
I have a couple passes, but yeah.
You know, I do wish it goes back to Anaheim because I only went for a date at one time with Lane, and it was so self-contained. That was like a little island of nerddom.
Yeah.
So I kind of dug it because it's like a mini Comic-Con because, Comic-Con, the entire city changes.
Yeah.
So Anaheim, all the hotels like right there, everything is walking distance. I was like, It's like a mini nerd island, which I really like because once it's in LA, LA is LA. It doesn't change. So I really, really dug Anaheim. So I'm hoping it goes back.
Yeah. I'll be very curious if they're gonna. I mean, it has to go back to Anaheim. There's no
Hopefully.
way. Yeah, there's no way I want.
I don't know, Mike. Just keep moving.
There's an
San
Orphan
Francisco,
Black,
Anaheim,
Orphan
LA.
Black panel and the 100 panel.
Yeah.
I'm really curious.
You're not gonna be able to go, huh?
I don't know yet. That depends on my leg.
He's not going.
I did tell Lane to book a room that has 2 beds, but I've warned him that quite possibly I'll just pay him the difference and not go. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they can get rid of it.
Yeah.
But yes, 10 a.m. live streamed from Anaheim. From Los Angeles. This is going to be on DC's website if you want to hear their solicitations and all their info. Yep, very soon.
Are they going to announce titles, creators, stuff like that?
So all the titles have been announced.
Okay.
It's supposed to be creators and cover art and everything. So
nice.
This is the whole shebang.
We shall see. I'm hoping so. Another question here from Joshua Redding, who says, any chance Jonathan Hickman works for DC? A couple people have mentioned this recently, of them picking up a couple new big names, and Hickman's gone from Marvel. It'd be interesting to see if he would come over to DC. I don't know. Very possible. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, not you know. I have a few friends who have said they would kill for a Jonathan Hickman Legion of Superheroes comic.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Isn't that the one that you talked about Jeff Johns liking? Or is that
Legion?
Something different?
Legion, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Legion's John's big book, so... Yeah,
it's his fault there's Legion Legos now, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. First we get Jeff Johns tightening slowly trickling in, now we get the Legion.
Speaking of Lego, didn't they just announce the Lego Batman movie?
Yes.
Officially?
Well, they announced a long time ago, but there's official pictures of it.
Okay, that must be it.
Oh, is there?
And I think there's a new... Unless it's a bad April's Fool's joke, I think there's another direct-to-TV Lego movie superhero announced that comes with like Nightwing figure in blue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I would let better not be an April's Fool's joke. I'm gonna rip someone's head off.
And then one last question here before we get to our little Batman v Superman talk. It's from Talon. It says, do you guys prefer small-scale vigilante superhero stories or giant world savers? I can answer Toby's.
Yes.
I know Toby's answer.
Yeah, go for it.
It's small.
Yes, absolutely. I think small but bigger in the mind.
Hey, now.
Is that the best way to...
Not in the pants?
No, that's not what I meant by it. It was just like, the smaller ones are usually more personal, and that's why I like more.
Sure.
There we go. All right, I phrased it the right way. Sorry about that. Only took me 2 tries.
I think for me it just depends on the writer. Like if I'm reading John's, I like the big world-saving things. But if I'm reading, like...
John's is writing the personal stuff in the big world-saving stuff, so that's how it works for me in John's.
But, for, Rucka and, these other guys that write, Brubaker writes kind of these very smaller, more personal kind of stories. So I think it depends on who's writing. In just who works better for those. If it's just some random person, I don't know, because... it's really hard to do personal, and you can really screw up epic.
I love comic books, and in movies and film and TV and a lot of fiction, I feel like you can do small, street level, personal a lot easier. In comic books, you have unlimited budget. You could do whatever the hell you want. Give me big, giant, world-saving, epic, multiverse, time travel, Justice League, Avengers level shit every day. I love Batman and Nightwing and the street level stuff and Daredevil. I always have. But the stories that I always go back to are the crazy Jeff Johns and Grant Morrison, just ridiculous Crisis on Infinite level, Crisis on Infinite Earth level.
I get so lost reading those, man.
I love them. I
take notes reading
Which is why I'm surprised I was so turned off by Hickman's Avengers, because I was like, well, this is kind of what I want, but that's also not really the Avengers, so it has to be the right character.
Well, that's how I felt about Bendis' Avengers, too.
I don't always want Batman to be in, a big multiverse event, I feel it works for some characters more than others.
Chris, Jim?
I think, kind of like what Brock said, if the story is good and the writing of it's good, I can go either way.
Either way, yeah.
There have been good small stories. There have been bad small stories. Same thing. There have been good epic stories, cosmic level stories. And there have been horrendous ones. Okay, train wrecks that could frickin' pierce a black hole. Okay, so I mean, it's just horrible. So again, it goes with the writer. It
Infinity.
It's
sorry, I had to get one in there.
But it's not just the writer. I mean, it could be the artist too that throws you off. I mean, it could be.
It's hard to do big.
Yeah, it is.
It's real hard.
It could be the fact that they put too many crossovers. It could be that too many tie-ins. You don't know what point you are in the story. Secret Wars. But you don't know where they're going with it. I mean, Fear itself was a train wreck. It was horrible because it just floundered so badly at the end, and yeah, it just depends. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, even Convergence had its hiccups along the way. It was okay, but yeah, they could have done a lot more, like grand scheme. Like Convergence kind of was almost there, but not quite.
It was an interesting idea, but they didn't. The end didn't do anything.
Yeah,
which is a problem when you have these big events.
But then you have a book like Vision.
Well, which is totally small and personal,
yeah.
which is the best comic Marvel's publishing right now by a fucking mile. So I love small personal stuff, but
you need your eye candy too.
But I love the big, yeah. I mean, my favorite panels from the last couple of years has been the couple panels from Darkseid War, the one with it's the Crisis on Infinite Earth,
it's Anti-Monitor
flashback,
versus everything,
yeah. And then the more recent one with the Green Lantern Corps coming back to be like, oh yeah, we're back to kick some ass, and like, oh yeah, hey, Green Lantern Corps, forgot about you. So,
well, they were on the edge of oblivion.
Yeah. So we are going to talk very briefly, me and Toby, about Batman v Superman. There's no spoilers. No, this is just kind of if you're going to see the movie this weekend, we're going to give you some things to think about before you go in. Give you some maybe adjust your expectation level. Or give you a higher expectation level. I don't know if you're excited for this movie or not.
I think what you're trying to do is bring their expectation level down to a reasonable...
Well, we're going to have a few things to say. If you want absolutely zero spoilers, I mean, turn the podcast off now. We're not going to spoil anything. But if you don't want to know a single, even remote feeling about this, yeah.
If you're following the Bryce model of not watching any trailers, stop now.
And we'll see you next week for our 9-hour Batman v Superman discussion. For now, though...
We have to take notes, right?
During the movie? No, don't take notes. Just remember everything you can.
Okay.
We'll be fine.
I will totally take notes on the second viewing.
On the second viewing? Yeah.
Totally. I will bring in a pen and paper.
So for people that don't remember, a few months back, me, Toby, and a few of our friends went to go see the trailer.
It was last year.
Well, yeah, 6 months ago or whatever.
No, it was like a year ago.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Well...
I really was going to take bets. Like, this is not happening. WB is not going to remember, 80 people that went to watch a trailer a year early.
So apparently it was 80 people. I didn't know how many people were going to show up, and out of a 500-screen theater or whatever, 80 people were there.
Yeah.
And there was, a press area.
Were they checking IDs?
No, they didn't check anyone.
Oh.
Okay, so we go to this trailer
so of
screening.
course we don't get texted, right?
So we go to this trailer screening.
Well, we
don't
know these things until it happened.
Right,
Once
walking.
we're in.
Yeah, we walk in, and they're like, oh, just go in. And we're like, well, there goes 4 tickets to waste.
Jim.
So we go and see this trailer. We get these posters. We're like, okay, cool, that was nice. And we walk out there like, oh, yeah, by the way, put your name down, and we'll send you a free pass to see the movie a week ahead of time before the movie comes out. Oh, what the fuck? Right? So the whole year we're thinking, like Toby,
it's not happening.
It's actually going to happen. No,
I have a question. Why didn't you write our names down on the thing?
Because they had
they looked at you
paper and they bamboozled us for our email addresses and okay, we're never going to get this. But then lo and behold, 2 weeks ago,
well, you know why I really didn't believe I was going to get it?
Wow.
Remember that when people went to watch the Guardians thing, Guardians trailer, I went and they wouldn't let me in, and some manager came out and goes, "You'll come back and just watch it for free when it comes out." I'm like, that's a good deal. Never heard of it.
Never happened.
Yeah. I'm like, whatever. I mean, not mad about it. I just didn't think it was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And that was like a month. I was like, a year? They're not going to remember squat about these emails?
Yeah, so one of our friends I know didn't get his email, but he never showed up to the theater, so I guess he just didn't bother. But everyone else got it, so, that's crazy. But, so we got in. We got to see Batman v Superman Monday night, 10 o'clock, 2D IMAX, which is great, no 3D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got to even brought my 2D glasses.
Yeah,
and,
So I think I tweeted at you last night, but were you guys at Mercado?
Yes, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, that's fine. The theater was like there was barely anyone there, right? Because nobody went to the trailer. Oh, Mercado.
Well, no, it's Mercado on a Monday night.
That was a reference to the theater itself.
Oh, the theater's terrible.
I got you.
Yeah, Toby got it.
Yeah.
So the movie, I mean, big IMAX screen. They definitely filmed a bunch of stuff on IMAX.
I like how we're talking about the line and the screen.
Yeah, we're not even talking about the movie yet.
I know.
I have a question about that because when I saw Dark Knight, I saw it on IMAX, and
you saw Dark Knight?
The Dark Knight.
Oh, the second one.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, they made a Dark Knight movie that I don't know of.
The scenes that they filmed in with the IMAX camera filled the IMAX screen, and the rest of the movie was
the
normal.
black bar.
Wasn't this the entire movie
was
was filmed in IMAX?
No.
It wasn't?
Nope. They would go back and forth.
Back and forth.
Oh, they did?
Yep.
How did I not notice that?
Toby.
You were so into the movie, Toby.
Toby and all my idiot friends are like third row at the bar.
I can't go up the fucking stairs, motherfucker.
Sure, well, you wouldn't anyway. I sit back row. I have to see. I have to take it all in. So.
Toby sat where your periffs don't notice it.
Yeah. So if you follow myself on Twitter, I had a lot to say about this movie earlier today. If you don't,
I have lots to say about this movie too, but I have not posted anything on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll talk again.
I posted it mentally.
All the big spoilers will go up next week.
You did have a lot to say. I had to remind you to put books away because you were so glued.
Well, at that point I was more checking Rotten Tomatoes. At this point, Rotten Tomatoes is up, and when we started recording the podcast, it was at 41%, which is lower than.
I've seen 13%.
That was right when it went
earlier.
up. That was right when it went up. Which is lower than Man of Steel. I'm not sure if it's changed since then. That sounds about right. Go see this movie.
Nowhere near close what we were talking about last night.
No. So, I have a lot to say, but I will say this.
So do I.
Go see this movie. There are lots of good things in this movie. I feel it was put together poorly. There's good elements.
The analogy you used earlier was really well done, where you said that
the jigsaw puzzle.
It was a bunch of beautiful puzzle pieces that they just didn't put together properly.
It's a jigsaw puzzle of a beautiful picture
No.
that was put together improperly.
No.
That's my comparison.
I don't agree. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Okay.
I just don't agree.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not trying to fight you. Sorry. I
The
just don't agree.
Fight.
We're talking about a versus movie here, people.
The vast majority of the main characters were good to great. Again, Toby, and you'll have your minute, and you could.
No, I agree on that one actually.
Okay.
Except for one person, but I agree on that one.
I
agree on that statement.
I feel if this movie was an hour shorter or 45 minutes longer, it would have made a great single movie or a great two movies. I feel like this is a movie and a half. You could see Zack Snyder and you could see Warner Brothers, and there's kind of like two movies in here that kind of got smashed together a little bit. So this is a problem that I was hoping wouldn't happen because we had this bit with Green Lantern. Man of Steel felt more cohesive. It flowed properly. This was, I think, Toby, me, and you both agreed on this. I read this, someone made this mention on, I think it was on Comic Book Resources on their review of it, which was pretty negative too, where they said it felt like a bunch of vignettes stuck together.
Absolutely.
And I could totally see that.
It's like you went to see Batman v Superman, but you're watching an anthology.
I mean, like I said, you take that jigsaw puzzle, put it together, just put the pieces in correctly, and it just doesn't look right because it just doesn't fit together right. I think there was a plan there, and there was good intention. But it's worth seeing because I think if you're a comic book fan, you're going to be like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And the last hour, you're going to love. But
you got to spend an hour and a half getting there.
You got to spend an hour and 40 minutes to get to that last hour. And you may want to take a nap or something during that hour and 40 minutes.
You talk around things. How are you?
I'm going because we're going to talk about this much more next week.
I think it's very well done. You're very careful.
I don't want to spoil
anything.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, no, that was very well done.
So your analogy of the jigsaw puzzle, is it, and Toby, you probably could answer it better, but
maybe. I don't know.
Do you think if the movie was edited differently or like the sequence of events was put together differently, it would make it better? Or are Are there pieces missing from it?
Me and Ryan actually disagree on this, kind of. Although I think our heart is in the same place about it. I will elaborate more on it next week because, like I said, I don't want to give anything away. While Ryan thinks that it maybe should have been less, I think it should have been more, and I think some of the things should be out and replaced by other things. Again, it's hard to talk about without being spoiled, so we'll save it for next week. And yeah.
So maybe some of those jigsaw puzzles are from the wrong picture.
Yeah, well, maybe a little bit.
I think that goes back to your. It's either should be a shorter one film or a longer 2-parter.
I think there's a major plot that could have been removed from the movie.
Well, they did remove one.
Another one.
Yeah.
That I don't think it would have really. It would have affected stuff, but I think they still could have found a way to work around it. I think they just said, do we want to be this sort of artsy, dark, Nolan-esque, Man of Steel-esque movie, or do we want to be the fun, balls-to-the-wall, crazy action Marvel movie? And you kind of you don't get enough of either.
Do you think the director's R-rated version is going to make a difference?
Dude, stop with the R-rated. It doesn't
I'm
matter
just asking
what
the
rated
question.
it is.
Do you think the director's edited different?
I'm far more concerned with what they're putting back into the movie. Far more concerned with that. I really don't care if they're going to send F4O if you can see a booby slip. I really don't care about any of that.
We talked about this. I am 100% certain because they cut out what's-her-face, Barbara Gordon's.
Yes.
They cut out Jenna Malone.
Carrie Kelly.
It's Barbara Gordon.
Is it? I thought it was Carrie Kelly.
Barbara Gordon. I'm 100% convinced what they cut out is.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
They cut out her scenes because her flashback scene would be Killing Joke, and sexual violence would cause an R rating in this movie. 100%.
She is in one of the flashbacks or dream sequences.
Yeah, 100%. That is what would cause the R rating. I will guarantee you that's why. They should have kept that in, and they should have cut They should have cut something else.
Yeah,
out.
no, I agree on that. Actually, I actually truly agree on
that.
That's
100% what I think the case of the R rating is going to be. And I don't know if that would. I don't think that would have changed much. It would have been another half an hour of Batman. Which
they also revealed that almost not only Joker but the Riddler was almost in the movie too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Batman. Brock, you will be happy to hear this. Batman is 60% of the 65% of the movie.
Yep. Woohoo!
I mean, Superman that plays definitely a second fiddle, but you already know Superman's story from Man of Steel, so you're getting Batman's story.
I have a lot harsher thing to say, but I'll save it for next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I agree on your statement. Yeah.
Earlier you mentioned you can see WB's hand in this. You can see Snyder's hand, and you said the same thing about Green Lantern. Does it seem like Warner Brothers just isn't letting their directors and the directors' teams make these movies where it seems like Marvel and Disney to a larger extent just sort of been like, all right, you guys can just make a good movie.
But have they? Because I think that's changing at Marvel. I think that we've seen that with Age of Ultron and now Civil War.
I'm thinking old stuff.
I think with Man of Steel, Man of Steel was Zack Snyder. I don't think there was Warner Brothers. I don't think Warner Brothers was in there.
No, Zack Snyder was 100% Man of Steel because at the time when it came out, that was kind of more of the peak of Marvel when they were kind of back and forth between...
Well, it was 2012, but that means they started that in like 2008, 2009, which was right when Marvel was starting to hit with Iron Man. So I don't think at that point... I would say that Man of Steel is Zack Snyder start to finish. This is clearly Warner Brothers is like, and here's the rest of the DC universe.
I don't...
Really?
Would you kind of compare
Those
it to
scenes...
Spider-Man
No,
3?
have you watched the other Zack Snyder movies? I think this is more Zack Snyder than it was WB, and this is probably why I don't like it as much.
I mean, I've seen everything but Sucker Punch. No, but I just think...
if you watch Sucker Punch, there's a little more...
No, I just think that there is a number of minutes in the movie, maybe 10 minutes or so, of stuff that is build up for the expanded DC universe. And
Which is fine. Yeah.
And I think you would have a slightly different movie. I think saying Doomsday in this movie is not a spoiler, it's been on all the trailers. If this was a Zack Snyder movie, I don't think Doomsday would be in it. I think that's Warner Brothers. I think...
So you're kind of going if they had kind of cut out that lead-ins or those breadcrumbs to the other movies.
No, I love that stuff.
I mean,
but for this movie, you think they could have just left that if it was Warner Brothers pushing that, and Zack and Snyder didn't want it. If Snyder got his way and cut all that shit out, would it have made the movie better? In your opinion, do you think?
Some people have said it felt a little forced. I thought it was necessary and fun, but
I'm gonna go half and half on you on that one. I feel half of them were forced, and the big one wasn't.
Yeah,
I'll just go with that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, my 2 cents is whatever we say here. If you felt like watching it, go freaking watch it.
You should absolutely watch it.
Who cares what we say, right? I mean, just go enjoy the movie. I don't want to say more because anything I'll say will probably be spoilerific. I definitely have some harsh things to say, but it's a fun big movie, and we've been waiting years to see this in the screen. I just go have fun.
Well, Toby, I want to ask you because I asked Ryan. Ryan said that he liked Ben Affleck's portrayal in the movie of Batman and Bruce Wayne. Did you like his portrayal?
When they first casted him, I'd be honest, I was on Heath Ledger was on board right away. I saw it right away. Ben Affleck was a little iffy.
Oh, as Joker.
Yeah, Joker. Yeah, Ben Affleck was a little iffy, but then I watched this movie called Runner, and he's kind of like the sly kind of. It's a bad movie, but Ben Affleck was kind of a bad guy in that one, and I kind of like, you know what? That could be Bruce Wayne-ish in another tone, and that could really work, and really work. And after seeing that movie, I was like, "Fuck, he could be Batman." And I have no problem with any of the actors.
Now, a lot of people always say that Bruce Wayne is different than Batman. Did you think Affleck was just bad overall, as in both characters, or was
no? I didn't say bad. I think he's quite well in both of them. Yeah,
I think he did. Yeah. I think he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, no, I have nothing against Affleck. I think he did just great. Yeah, okay. I mean, like I said, in Runner, I saw what he could do, and it's definitely what he is doing in this movie. Like as Bruce and what he did as Batman, I thought both worked out really, really well. So anybody who has fear about that, no, I don't think all the actors are fairly well done, except for one Ryan liked, but I disagreed on, but it's just not my version of it. But the majors 3, have no fear. I think they did pretty well of all 3 of them.
I read a review like a couple of weeks back. It was like a little Twitter thing that someone had seen it that said, if you liked Man of Steel, you'll love this movie. If you loved Man of Steel, you'll love this movie. If you loved Man of Steel, but you hated the ending, this will kind of redeem it. If you hated Man of Steel, you're going to hate this movie. I think most of that applies.
I actually think it's the reverse. I actually think the Man of Steel haters are probably going to like this movie.
I don't think so at all.
I actually know.
Because
I'm in the reverse too.
Well, because it's 60-70% Batman.
Well, the things that people hated about Man of Steel, they may like in this movie. However, the problem comes down to the fact that this is a poorly made movie. I
feel like everything that built up in Man of Steel for a modern Superman, they tore down completely in this movie. I really do.
We can't talk about any of this stuff. That's the thing.
I mean, we should just end it here, or we're going to some territory that we shouldn't go to.
This is that jigsaw puzzle. If it was put together better, I think it would have been a much.
It needs a lot more pieces in that puzzle. Is my argument.
But I said I think
I don't think the pieces they have were right.
I think there will be, and I know you disagree, Toby. I think there will be a fantastic 2-hour fan edit of this movie after it comes out on Blu-ray.
I was actually gonna ask you that. I didn't get a chance to do it earlier, but yeah, I think I was gonna ask. Do you think there's gonna be a fan edit of this movie that's gonna come out after it's?
Well, let me.
When's Toby gonna get started on it? That's my curiosity.
No, because I need to film like half a movie to make this movie.
Let me prep you a little bit for the flow of this, and then we'll end it here.
I am going to do a Punisher trailer, though. I'm totally going to do that.
Nice.
Because I just need the footage. Someone give me the footage.
If you look at the Marvel movies, they have big action scene, smaller character development, big action scene, smaller character development, big action scene, smaller character development, and then the big action finale.
Yeah, peaks and valleys.
This is the way action movies tend to work.
Yeah.
The problem with this and the flow with this is little action starts to build, a lot of brooding character moments, but it starts to build an action moment. But it's not a big action scene. It's an action moment that then leads to more slow brooding character development and and again, slow isn't bad, but in this case, an hour and 40 minutes of the start and stop, you're like,
in theory, I should love In theory, I should love that.
That's not.
But I did not.
That is not proper pacing for a movie.
No,
like
the
this.
pacing was so bad.
So then you get to the last hour, and they don't turn it to 11. They turn it to like 907. Right? I mean, it gets ridiculously
Are you
insane at
arbitrarily
the end.
picking a number that is associated with Action Comics?
No, just a whole lot more than 11. Right? They go balls crazy in the last hour, which like
You don't see nuts in this.
those.
do you?
No, if you took
Okay.
those bits and you layered them differently in the
Transformers
movie,
too.
and then cut the slow bits to be a little, you have a build up to a climax in the middle, and then the climax at the end. It's so heavyweight at the end where you're like, well, I've been sleeping for an hour and 40 minutes, but holy fuck, now it's like I'm on speed.
So what you're saying is in that first hour and a half, you don't feel bad if you have to get up and go to the bathroom?
You can mostly use the bathroom at any point in that first hour and 40 minutes. Go out, get a coffee, have a cigarette, take a piss, take a shit. I don't know. Go make a phone call.
I mean, look,
I'm actually making it sound worse than it is. It's even
there's
within,
a lot of repeated things though in that first hour and a half.
There's great moments in that hour and a half. It's just like this is a whole movie. An hour and a half could be an entire movie, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they needed to get it going faster, and it doesn't.
You know what they should have done? They should have just Lord of the Rings it.
Oh, they totally did. I actually made that comment at the end, and everybody laughed in my row.
If you've seen Return of the King, be prepared for that ending. And
I was saying Lord of the Rings it as in, or I'm sorry, Hobbit it as in, let's take a movie that technically should only be 2 and make it 3.
Hobbit should have been 1, and they shit the thing in the 3. No. This is one very big, long movie.
And I don't mind that.
I don't mind it either.
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
I don't disagree with some of the choices they did. And, it's always easy to judge a movie. I always say that whenever I judge a movie. It's always easy to judge afterwards because when you make these decisions, it's not easy, especially on, a $200 million movie where you got, 20 guys or suits briefing down your neck going, no, do this.
Right.
Yeah, go watch it. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
So they can actually say something.
Yeah, we'll have lots to say next week.
Yeah, I think for the guys that like us to talk about this or yell at each other, you're going to be in for a good one.
Freaking talk about it already.
I have no idea what Brock and Bryce are going to think of this movie. I think Charlie will like it. Jim, I think you will like it. I think you'll see some problems.
You think Charlie will like it?
I think Charlie will like it.
I mean, Charlie would be on my side.
I have no clue what Brock and Bryce are going to think. No clue.
I think I know what Bryce will say.
I think I know what Bryce will say, too.
Oh, Bryce will hate it just because he's fucking Bryce.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But here's the thing.
He won't even watch it. He'll come and hate it.
I think, again, I don't think...
He won't even watch it and he'll hate it.
There's elements to dislike, but there's a lot to like in this movie.
Well, look, there's a lot of good seeds and ideas that I really wanted to see ever since freaking Superman Returns, and I will elaborate that on this next week. It's just not done the right way again.
Well, okay, so both of you.
I think we need to stop, to be honest with you. I really do think we need to stop. We're talking about the problem, but we can't really talk about it.
I asked you earlier, were there decent Easter eggs in it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Toby, did you like some of the Easter eggs that were in it?
I actually have issues with those. Yeah, I think the sequel to Higgins vs. Larson is going to be Higgins vs. Sidler.
I will tell you, again, my last comment on this. There reached a point in the movie, though, where I had just the biggest smile on my face. I was like, we're here. It's happened. I'm just saying, remember that scene in the Avengers where they kind of go around the Avengers? That one scene?
Yeah.
In the first one?
Yeah, in the first one. Yeah.
If this movie does nothing else...
I'll give you that. I was very happy.
You get your splash page.
Yeah.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
You get that.
I was very happy with that.
You get that big pull-out centerfold.
That was your jizz in my pants moment?
That was a splash zone. That was
Yeah, let's just say there was clapping in our row from a very specific fan.
Oh, that's if you're talking about that.
I'm talking about that. What are you talking about?
No, there's one moment where you're just like, and there it is. And there it is. I know what you're talking. I know
what you're talking about. Then I don't know what you're talking about. Then
oh my god,
we'll talk about it next week. Thank you everyone for listening.
Driving me nuts.
Thanks to everyone for listening to us talk about nothing for the last half an hour.
Exactly.
I feel like we just did a Comic-Con panel where all the fans like, can you please tell us about the next season? Well, you know, she'd really be in for it because it's going to be one hell of a ride. Next question.
Yeah.
It's a Marvel update.
We have to thank all our great friends from Patreon. Let's not forget about that. Man, we got so many people backing us now. This is amazing. We have to thank all our high-tier backers, of course, this week. Albert Soy is at Plant Everywhere on iTunes. Albert, I have your Disney ears from Brock. So
I got those for you. You need to come down and get them.
Our good friend Jody Lawson is Canon Triad Comics Anthology at triadcomicstudio.com. Definitely go check out those books on there. John Nesmith, he's got his podcast, drinkingwithbatman.libsyn.com. I'm curious what he would think. Maybe he'll drink with Batman while he's watching this movie. Peter X. Blanco's got Nerd It Up. It's a YouTube channel, Nerd It Up TV. Make sure you check that out I think it's weekly. Julian Titus, of course, Nerds of the Pants podcast. We had him on last week. Wonderful, wonderful man.
Great having you on, Julian.
Great having him on. That's pixelbit.com. Make sure you check them out every week for their podcast. Our good friend Joshua Redding, who just sent us a question, he's got a podcast called Tangent Break. Make sure you go find that on iTunes. And, of course, Twilight of Ages and Dawn of Darkness. He's got a couple novels on Amazon. Make sure you read those. Give them a great review. 5-star only on Amazon.
And if you want to talk to him about cross-gen books.
Oh, yeah, he's a big
I
fan.
love cross-gen books.
Mario Miranda, the Mild Fuzz Podcast Network, mildfuzz.org. All sorts of podcasts on there you guys got to check out for all your nerdy, mild podcasting needs. Of course, YouTube. They're all there. Well,
there's a
mild
hot.
fuzz.
There's
mild
a
fuzz.
hot caliente.
Sometimes you just want to be mild. And then Mild Fuzz on YouTube.
Like that movie.
And our good friend Manoa Place with something to plug. They just want to support us.
Come on, Manoa Place. Come on, give us something to plug.
Thank you, guys. We love all of you. And of course, of course I just closed the window, but that's okay because I have this, and this is perfectly fine. I don't need to do anything else. We have Geekbox.net, which is where we record all our wonderful episodes of the Geekbox and Comic Conspiracy and Comedy Button and Good Job Brain. Those are all on there. Check that out. Of course, iTunes. You definitely want to go on there. Rate and review us. Do that. The Comic Conspiracy at Geekbox.net. That's where you can write us some email. I'd love to hear people's thoughts about Man of Steel. I know your thoughts about Man of Steel. Trust me. I want to hear your thoughts about Batman v Superman. We're going to do a whole episode about it next week. Write us in your comments.
Long. Oh dear
Keep
God.
it relatively short, so I can actually read a few of these on the air. Give us your thoughts, feedbacks. Hit us up on Twitter.
Is Bryce Man going to watch it before we record?
Yeah.
Is he?
He can't come on Thursday, but he's going to see it on the weekend.
Okay.
Contact form.
I'm just imagining you getting a whole bunch of mail, like in a huge bag, that's like dropped on.
It's gonna be like that,
and it's like just got BVS like on the side of it, and you're like, "Why did I ask for this?"
And we got Charlie coming back too, yeah.
Charlie should be back next week. Yep,
and he watches it on Friday morning.
Go watch Friday, yeah.
All right, so we should have a full cast. Yeah. Again, I'll watch.
We got our tickets.
I do want to, see it again and reevaluate.
We're gonna have like 90 people on next week.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Comic Conspiracy. That's where you can go and donate some money to us for the podcast. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. You can go on there and buy all your digital comic books from us, from Comixology. You can use on any app or phone. ConspiratorBrock.com. That's Brock's blog and Video Polis. The Infinite Longbox podcast and Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. That is Charlie's comic book and Doctor Who podcasts. Of course, my wife, Leanne, she's got her Etsy shop at etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. She
did a great print
she
for
did
BVS.
A Batman vs. Superman vs. Wonder Woman print for BVS. Pretty funny, so...
Really?
You can go pick that up. We got it here in the store, too.
Spoilers, she did not like the movie.
She hated it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. She hated it. I heard of it.
She regret making
God.
that print
Facebook
now, doesn't she?
Twit.
So she hated Man of Steel. She hated Batman vs. Superman. And she loves Superman. I mean, she loves Batman.
She was at 13%. That started on Rotten Tomatoes.
She's just like, no.
I mean, I think there's a couple things she liked about it, but she does a lot she didn't like about it. So she hates Zack Snyder just like with a passion. So it doesn't surprise me.
I think you're joining that bandwagon.
There's not a Batman good dude.
Gun to my head, I do not want Zack Snyder to direct Justice League. That's my stance. Ryan Higgins, Ryan, that's me on Twitter.
I heard Joss Whedon didn't do anything at Marvel anymore.
Oh, I don't want Joss Whedon to direct either.
No. Josh should do his own stuff again.
Now, if J.J. Abrams is available.
Yeah.
Brock's Brock Sager, Bryce is Larson, Bryce, Toby is Toby XI, Charlie's in the Sanity and Chaos. The comic store is Comics Con Store. Check that out. Chris is Darth Chris 4, correct? Jim is LD Exterminator. Make sure you add us all on Twitter and yell at me and ask me more questions about Batman vs Superman because I've been answering questions all day about that.
They anger me all day. So it's funny. As I see Ryan answering, I get angry and I text Ryan.
And you send me angry messages. And I'm like, just leave me alone. I'm working.
It's this vicious cycle. Like, internet to Ryan. Ryan answers, but you get a text message from me. You go, what the hell are you talking about?
But you're not really working because I'm standing there watching you going away, and there's a long box of books that need to get put away.
Y'all got out. Geekbox, Comedy Button, Good Job Brain, All Talk Podcast, Manga Machinations. Check all those out, part of the Geekbox Network, and all our lovely Patreon people. Make sure you check out all their wonderful podcasts. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you next week. Go watch Batman vs Superman. Get an informed opinion on it. Don't just listen to the reviews of idiots like us or people that work at, like, Variety or other places like that actually know what they're talking about.
Are paid by Disney to do propaganda against this movie.
That's correct.
Yeah. Oh, dear God, why are you doing that to me?
No, get the hell out of here, dude. Get your sugar man out of here. I'm sick of this.